It's called the Big Easy, but bumpy roads and overflowing sewers make getting around in New Orleans anything but. It's the same in many other parts of the US. The last spending push on infrastructure was in 1956 under President Dwight Eisenhower. That project expanded the national highway network beyond 6.5 million kilometers, making it the world's largest. But decades of neglect and political infighting over government spending have left infrastructure in sad shape. Now, President Donald Trump wants to spend $1 trillion to fix it.
I have laid out the principles for the biggest and boldest infrastructure initiative in at least a half a century.
The government wants to spend $200 billion to fix roads, bridges, and highways. That leaves a gap of more than $800 billion, which Trump hopes the private sector will fill. But 26 states don't allow private companies to build or operate public infrastructure, setting them on a collision course with Trump's plan. Losing control of the House of Representatives to the Democrats could make it even harder for Trump. But leaders from both sides of the political divide say they're eager to find a way forward.
The one issue that Leader Pelosi and I discussed this morning is where there could be a possible bipartisan agreement would be something on infrastructure.
We will strive for bipartisanship. We believe that we have a responsibility to seek common ground where we can.
The two parties are far apart on other issues like healthcare, tax, and immigration. And if Trump wants bipartisan support on his infrastructure plan, he may have no choice but to compromise with the Democrats. Mobin Nasir, TRT World.
Well, let's get more on this now from TRT World's editor-at-large, Craig Copetas, who joins me now from Paris. Hi, Craig. So in America, we've got derailing trains, crumbling roadways, collapsing bridges, undrinkable tap water, not to mention airports that don't even compare to the ones we've seen in some of the world's developing countries. These signs of a crisis in America's infrastructure are unmistakable. What is the state of the infrastructure in America right now?
Well, 1.5 trillion won't even put a dent in refurbishing the infrastructure. The American Society of Engineers puts it conservatively at 3.6 trillion. And in the elections earlier this week, the issue of infrastructure was a major issue in the state of Michigan, which is suffering from, as you said, bad water, bad bridges, bad roadways, bad sewers. And the Democratic candidate who won there, Gretchen Whitmer, a great deal of her campaign platform was rebuilding Michigan's infrastructure. So it is a key issue.
Mm. In February, Trump proposed a $1.5 trillion fund to fix America's infrastructure mess, with the private sector expected to provide the bulk of those funds. Democrats, as we know, hate the idea of corporations owning the roads and bridges that they're expected to build. How could the two parties possibly reach some sort of a compromise here?
Well, America's privatized the prison system, so why not privatize the highway system and make some money off of it? And there is a lot of money to be made. There are 56,000 bad bridges in the United States, 1,900 of them on major interstate highways. Americans think in miles. 32% of America's 4.2 million, some 4.2 million miles of roads have crumbled and need refurbishment. The big question is, where is this money going to come from? I think this whole project is going to reach yet another grinding halt in Washington, because both sides won't be able to agree.
Yes, and Donald Trump also highlighted another issue in which the two parties could possibly find common ground, and that's drug prices. Nancy Pelosi, who's hoping to become House Speaker again, also highlighted that issue. Do you think the two parties could come together to challenge the powerful big pharma lobby and force them to actually lower their prices?
Well, this is more politics as usual in Washington. Negotiating drug prices is essentially a delaying tactic to avoid discussing the much larger and more critical issue of universal health care in the United States. It's a lot like negotiating the price of your Thanksgiving dinner in America, but the provider's not going to give you the turkey, because the main course is health care. And America does not have national health care, as everyone knows, and it's a very contentious issue. So let's talk about drug prices, which will, of course, help, but you're not going to get any turkey.
So more of a Band-Aid solution, really. Okay, Craig Copetas in Paris, thank you as always.